Okay, so today I thought we'd start out by looking at a famous game from Bobby Fischer that he played when he had to be pretty young. I think he was maybe 15 years old. He played against Sam Reshevsky, who was one of the other, top American players at the time. So in this opening, Fischer is white, and you can see that the last move that Fischer played. Hey, Moshe, welcome.
How you doing, guys?
Literally, we're just getting started right now. So we're
Nice.
looking at this game that Bobby Fischer played when I think he was around 15 years old. And the last thing that happened is you can see that white moved up his pawn, and then black retreated his knight to e8. And now it's white to play in this position. So, any ideas here for white? One thing we may have spoken about is that when analyzing really any chess position, especially in tactical positions, there's a hierarchy of moves you want to look at. You want to first look at checks, then captures, then threats. Basically because checks are the most forcing move in chess, and captures are also kind of forcing because usually the guy has to capture back, even though he doesn't necessarily have to.
I mean, his bishop is lined up. His light square bishop is lined up for a check there.
Nice. Maybe we should look at this.
Yeah.
What happens if white takes that pawn f7?
Well, he's going to have to take it back either with the king or his rook.
Right.
Probably the rook, because he wouldn't want to put his king that far out there.
Nice. Does white have any strong follow-up here?
I'm seeing his knights that are for sure interesting. I'm not sure what. I mean, he could put his he could move his pawn up.
Oh, interesting. Attacking the rook. Okay, that's one idea.
I don't know how much it accomplishes, but then after that, he puts his into place, and he could put his rook. Oh no, because he's got the bishop on there. Black has got the light square bishop on that. If he takes the pawn, I was gonna say he could put his knight on there, and then he could fork his queen and his bishop, like Black's queen and bishop.
I see. You're saying you want to get the knight to here. Well, why don't we do? Moshe, you have any ideas? Maybe let's actually play this out. Let's play this out a move, and let's look at this position. Let's say here for white.
Oh, if if white puts his knight onto e6, his queens line up. He can't take it back without that. Yeah.
Right, Moshe. You see that? There's a pin going on here, where black's actually gonna lose his queen. It's pretty miraculous. And in fact, let's look at this. Does the queen have anywhere to go after this?
No, he doesn't, because if he moves it even to b6, he's
you get him
got
the bishop.
It's a pretty miraculous thing. That I think it's maybe around move 10 or something, and white actually somehow managed to trap the black queen, which never even moved.
Wow.
I think this was in a U.S. championship match too. I mean, not U.S. championship tournament. Pretty serious stuff.
Wow.
But let's see, though. We saw another option here for black. Does it help black if black captures with the king?
Yeah.
How so?
Because in the case of a sort of like, him trying to take the queen, he can have the rook to defend the queen and take back.
You sure? Let's analyze that. Let's go move by move here. Bishop takes f7 check. We already looked at rook takes f7, and we saw the knight to e6 wins the queen. But what about instead? Bishop takes f7, check. King takes f7, and then let's try the same move, knight to e6.
Oh yeah, the knight's in the way.
Right. This knight is interfering from the rook guard and the queen.
Yeah.
Are there any other moves black could play at that point after?
I mean, he could use his king to take that.
So what happens? So let's say black plays king takes knight on e6. Then what?
I mean, it seems like a mess because you'll have your
then he
queen,
gets
white has his queen open.
Then he gets checkmated.
Ooh, let's see. What move, Moshe? What move would white do?
He puts the queen up.
Yes. No, this is getting kind of complicated. Why don't we actually play this out?
I see that now. Checkmate.
Here, I mean, knight to e6, and now ironically, black can take it two ways, but neither way looks very good. Here you lose the queen, and that's similar to what we saw earlier. But
it's actually not a checkmate.
Well, let's see though. So you're saying here, this is, I mean, it's not checkmate, but it looks like we're getting close to checkmate. I mean, he can only go here. How would white follow this up?
Then he moves the pawn up.
Okay, nice. So that only leaves black one option, right? Black can only capture the pawn. Is there any other square for the king to go?
No.
Okay, so now the king's definitely far up. Does white have any way to finish him off?
Well, he's got his rook there he can play.
Okay.
I feel like it's for sure
that looks
part of
good.
it.
Usually you want to bring in a new piece into the attack anyways, so that looks good. Now where's black going?
He's got a lot of options at the moment.
He actually does. He has what? 4
At
options.
least 5 squares.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at one by one. What's the first option you're looking at?
He's got f5, f3.
Okay. Let's look at that first.
Yeah.
F3 the queen's guarding that, so that's not going to work. But let's look at f5.
Sorry.
Let's say black puts his king back on f5. Does white have any follow-up?
He could put his rook onto g5.
Yeah, that would be mate. That would be checkmate.
Yeah.
So let's see. So f5 is not going to work. What about the other squares?
He's got the whole H line.
All right. So what should we try?
I mean, I'm thinking farther back you'll have more options, but I don't know if it's a fair assumption.
Here then?
Possibly, but then he's still got the rook to g, 5.
Okay. And then where's the king going to go?
He'll probably move it forward.
He'll move up.
Yeah, he'll move up to like 4.
Or he'll move back. He'll move back one and try to get out. I don't know.
No, moving back though, because then you'll move the rook out of the way, and then he's in check again with the bishop.
Right. That's what we're talking about here. If you move back, now white he can put this rook anywhere.
And he's in check with the bishop.
Yeah. So, for example, right, it looks like there's a lot of checks coming over there.
There's a lot of checks coming in all of them, probably.
Right. For example, here, I'm wondering if white can even win by not checking, but simply playing more of a slower move, just queen to g2. Threatening either queen to h3 checkmate, or rook takes g6 double check from the bishop and check from the rook.
Yeah.
That might be really strong. What about any other options here where the king could go?
Well, if he moves up to h3, I mean, he can't really get put in check. Oh, he can.
Yes. How so?
With the rook.
Here also, right?
The queen, yeah.
This is going to be checkmate right here.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens if he goes to h3, right? I'm sorry, if he goes to h4, white can do a lateral check, and wherever black king goes, it's going to be
So checkmate, yeah.
Checkmate like this. So that's a pretty crazy checkmate. Let's just back up, and we realize that in this position, taking this knight with the king, it's only going to survive for a few more moves.
Yeah.
So essentially, and Sam Reshevsky, who's black, who's also a grandmaster, realized this, and that's why he ended up losing. He ended up just giving up his queen and just trying to fight from there, although obviously it wasn't enough. I mean, he's not losing instantly because he does have a knight and a bishop for the queen, so he has some compensation, but overall, I mean, white's just an overwhelming position.